Example, interpreting a confidence interval. The Gallup organization conducted a poll in April 2017 in which a random sample of 1,019 Americans aged 18 and older were asked, "Do you regard the income tax that you will have to pay this year as fair?" We learned from the previous example that the proportion of those surveyed who responded yes was 0.608. Gallup reported its survey methodology as follows. Results are based on telephone interviews with a random sample of 1,019 national adults aged 18 and older. For these results, based on the total sample of national adults, one can say with 95% confidence that the maximum margin of sampling error is 4 percentage points. We want to be able to determine and interpret the confidence interval for the proportion of Americans aged 18 and older who believe the amount of federal income tax they have to pay is fair. Confidence intervals for a proportion are of the form the point estimate plus or minus the margin of error. So we add and subtract the margin of error from the point estimate to obtain the confidence interval. We interpret the confidence interval. We are 95% confident the proportion of Americans aged 18 and older who believe that the income tax that they will have to pay this year is fair between the lower bound and the upper bound. So in our example, we determined the following. We know that the point estimate is the following, which is 0.608. And also in the problem, it states the following. It says that the maximum margin of the sampling error is 4 percentage points. So given is 4 percentage points, we need to convert it to a decimal, which is 0.04. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take the point estimate and then we're going to add and subtract the margin of error. Okay, so what do we know? Again, we know that the point estimate is 0.608, and then we're going to add and then subtract the margin of error of 0.04. So you can see here to the left, we have our lower bound. This represents our lower bound, where we're taking 0.608, subtracting 0.04 to get a lower bound of 0.568. Okay, so that's going to represent our lower bound because, again, this is what our lower bound is going to be. And then we're going to take the point estimate, and now we're going to add the margin of error of 0.04, and then we're going to get the upper bound of 0.648. So therefore, we would say that we are 95% confident that the proportion of Americans aged 18 and older who believe that the income tax they will have to pay this year is fair is between the following: 0.568, which is the lower bound, and the upper bound of 0.648. Now, a word of caution about interpreting the level of confidence. An extremely important point is that the level of confidence refers to the confidence in the method, not in the specific interval. A 90% confidence interval means that the method works, that is, the interval includes the unknown parameter for 90% of all samples. We do not know whether the sample statistic we obtained is one of the 90% with an interval that includes the parameter, or one of the 10% whose interval does not include the parameter. So a level of confidence does not tell us that there is a 90% probability that the parameter lies between the lower and upper bound.